Welcome to Night Hacking Interviews at the Java Zone Conference. My name's Stephen Chin, and I'm doing live interviews with various speakers and interesting folks all day today and tomorrow. You can watch them live at nighthacking.com, and I am joined now by Seb Rose. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Cool. And you don't want to know how I'm doing.
Okay, I don't want to know how you're doing.
Because I'm still trying to crunch on a book deadline, and my publisher wants me to review copies, and...
You didn't look that stressed earlier.
Yeah, so you don't know me well enough, but visibly showing stress is not one of my strengths.
Good.
Yeah, so we wanted to chat a little bit about Cucumber and behavior-driven development. So what would you like to talk about?
So I'd first like to talk about how behavior-driven development doesn't have anything to do with the tools. So you mentioned before we went on air that you were responsible for a BDD tool back in the day.
Yeah, I built a behavior-driven development framework for JavaFX. What was it called? JFXtras test. Basically, the idea was it would give you a way where you could kind of specify your story and then the preconditions and the actual test case in a slightly more fluent manner than you get with like JUnit or other frameworks. And it was designed for the old JavaFX scripting language.
So there's an awful lot of BDD tools out there. Yeah. And a lot of people think if they're using the tool or they're using the given when then format, then they're doing BDD.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what tools are for.
Sure.
Checklist.
Yeah.
BDD.
We've got that tool. It's okay. We're done. And what I say a lot when I'm talking at conferences and meeting people is that it's not about the tool. So behavior-driven development is about behavior. It really is underpinned by collaboration between your business people and your technical teams. And you can do behavior-driven development without ever going anywhere near a tool. So in the Java space, I don't know if many of the people watching today ever read that wonderful book by Steve Freeman and Nat Price called Growing Object-Oriented Software Guided by Tests. And in there, although they don't call it BDD, they do something that's BDD as far as I'm concerned. They just use pure JUnit.
Wow.
So it's about making sure you understand what your customer wants, getting feedback from them, discussing it with them, and then solidifying it using some form of automation once you've finished the collaboration.
Yeah, but I mean, having good tooling probably helps to make it a little bit easier to execute and maintain and keep the test suites kind of, clean.
Absolutely. And so what we like to see is once we've got our collaboration working, we're all working together nicely as a team, then Cucumber means that you can write things in business language using the ubiquitous language. And now your business people can look at your test specifications and go, yeah, that's what we meant. And then you can even go one step further and use those as your living documentation.
Yeah, one of the other nice things most BDD frameworks do as well is they make the test results human readable as opposed to 5,342 out of 5,400 tests have passed.
Although,
with a bunch of exceptions and stack traces for the ones which didn't.
So clearly, I don't want to undersell the joy of Cucumber, being author of one of the books on Cucumber for Java and being part of the Cucumber team. Nonetheless, you can do it using RSpec. You can do it using JUnit if you put the documentation into the names of the tests well. Cucumber for Java, that's the way to do it, but it's not necessary. BDD is about the collaboration, about getting the teams working together so that the bits, that nothing falls through the cracks, that we don't have to make assumptions. When we sit down and hit the keyboard, we actually know the examples that need to be satisfied, rather than constantly having to either go back to our business or make guesses.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
And that's a very short way. That's a short message, but that's pretty much the whole message. If you're not talking to your customers, if your customers aren't reading your specifications after you've written them, then it's probably not BDD because you're not getting that feedback. You aren't closing off that loop.
Yeah, no. So I mean, that's an interesting message. I was chatting with Patrick Dubois. He's the founder of the DevOps movement, and so a lot of people now they think of DevOps as the tools which people use to accomplish DevOps. They don't actually think about the human interactions, which are what make up the development and operations relationship. And he was describing how they actually like started DevOps, how it got kicked off, and it literally was about people and interactions. It was about applying the agile practices to operations groups so that they could get the same like benefits about interactions and introspection and looking at the way they do their processes and they communicate with other groups. And if you're not doing that, if you're not looking at it from like a people and process approach, then you're probably just checklist. We do DevOps. Yeah, we're using these containers tools and we're doing all this cool stuff. And
if you're lucky, you might be. We've got a team that says DevOps on the label, and they do a bit of infrastructure support. But because we call them DevOps, it's all okay now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's it's trite to reduce every discussion about technology to it's the people, stupid. But it's often the people that we need to deal with. It's a culture, it's the organization that we work within, and it's only once we've got some of that well balanced and sorted that the tools can really deliver any value. So I've been into lots of customer sites where they've got Cucumber tests that were written by testers in ignorance on their own, nobody's ever looked at. As soon as a new requirement comes in, they're all broken. They've got whole teams that are dedicated to just keeping those running because they've been structured so poorly. No one's quite sure what they're testing anymore. There's no value to having that.
Yep. No, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that's a good message for the listeners. Anything else you want to?
The Cucumber for Java book is available from a store near you.
Nice. Very glad to have you on the interview, Seb.
Thank you very much.
Folks who want to see the recordings can go to nighthacking.com where all the recordings are posted, and we're live streaming today and tomorrow from Java Zone, and interact with us by tweeting #nighthacking. So thank you very much.